There is a quiet question behind almost every spiritual search. Where am I on the path? Am I behind? Am I awakening? Am I falling back asleep? Am I becoming what I am supposed to become? And because the mind loves measurement, it often turns the mystery of awareness into a ladder, one step above another, one person higher than another, one version of you more worthy than the one breathing here right now. But what if the path is not a ladder? What if the 7 densities are not a spiritual ranking system, but 7 ways consciousness remembers itself through form? A map can help. A map can show patterns. It can give language to what the soul has already been sensing. But the map is not the territory, and the territory is not somewhere else. It is this breath, this body, this moment, this strange and beautiful field of experience appearing as your life. In this episode, we will explore the 7 densities of awareness as a contemplative map for returning home. Not as doctrine, not as a promise, not as a way to judge yourself or anyone else. As an invitation, a way to recognize how consciousness moves from survival to relationship, to selfhood, to love, to expression, to wisdom, to unity, and how every stage is still held inside the same awareness that is listening now. Because you are not climbing away from life, you are learning to recognize the light inside every layer of it. The first density is the density of matter, survival, and elemental being. It is earth before story, stone before identity, the body before the name, the deep intelligence of form learning how to exist. In human life, this density appears whenever the nervous system says, I need to be safe, I need food, I need shelter, I need ground beneath me. Before philosophy, before meditation, before meaning, there is the simple sacred fact of being alive. Sometimes spiritual language makes survival sound lower, as if needing stability means you are less conscious. But there is nothing unspiritual about needing ground. A tree cannot reach toward the sun without roots. A person cannot open into presence while constantly feeling hunted by life. This first density teaches respect for the body and the world of form. It teaches that awareness does not reject matter. It becomes matter. It breathes as lungs, aches as muscles, sleeps as cells, and asks to be cared for. If you are in a season where survival has been loud, this does not mean you have failed the path. It may mean the path is asking you to become kind to the most ancient layer of yourself. The stone is not separate from the temple. The body is not separate from awareness. The ground is already holy. The second density is the density of life learning through movement, instinct, and relationship. Here, awareness begins to reach. It turns toward light. It protects, seeks, bonds, learns through attraction and aversion. In nature, we see it in plants leaning toward the sun, animals sensing danger, families forming, packs moving as one body. In us, this density appears as belonging, the need to be seen, the ache of loneliness, the warmth of being held by someone who does not ask you to perform. The early question, am I safe with you? Much of human pain lives here, not because belonging is weak, but because belonging is sacred. When the heart learns that connection can disappear, it begins building strategies. It clings, it withdraws, it pleases, it hides. And yet, underneath every strategy is the same innocent movement. Life wanting to know it is not alone. The second density reminds us that awareness does not wake up by becoming cold or detached. It wakes up through honest relationship with all that appears. The animal body, the emotional weather, the need for touch, the grief of separation, the beauty of trust. You do not transcend belonging by pretending you do not need anyone. You soften the fear around belonging until connection can become spacious again. A flower does not apologize for turning toward the sun. Neither should the heart apologize for wanting warmth. The third density is the density most of us know intimately: selfhood, choice, identity, the feeling of being someone moving through a world of others. Here, consciousness says, I am this, I am not that. I want this future, I fear that outcome. I have a story, I have a wound, I have a name to protect. This is not a mistake. The separate self is not evil. It is a lens, a necessary focusing point through which awareness can experience responsibility, contrast, desire, consequence, and choice. But the third density becomes painful when the lens believes it is the whole sky. Then every thought feels personal, every emotion becomes evidence, every failure becomes identity. Every success becomes something to defend. This is where rumination becomes a kind of inner gravity. The mind tries to solve the self the way it would solve a machine. It keeps asking, what is wrong with me? How do I fix myself? How do I become enough? But the awakening hidden inside the third density is not the destruction of the self. It is the recognition that the self is appearing in awareness. You can have a story without being trapped inside it. You can make choices without believing every thought is a command. You can be human without reducing yourself to the voice in your head. The mirror of identity is useful, but you are not the mirror alone. You are also the seeing. The fourth density begins when the center of gravity moves from protection into love. Not perfect love, not sentimental love, not the kind that performs goodness in order to be admired. A deeper recognition, the other is not as separate as the mind once believed. Compassion becomes less of an idea and more of a perception. You begin to feel that every person is carrying an unseen universe. Every stranger has a childhood, a fear, a private prayer, a place inside them that wants to be free. This does not mean you lose boundaries. Love without discernment can become confusion. But boundaries no longer need hatred to exist. The fourth density says, I can protect my peace without denying your humanity. Then the fifth density carries love into expression. Truth, creativity, voice. The courage to let the inner light take form. Here awareness asks, what wants to move through me? What am I here to give? What truth becomes medicine when spoken cleanly? This is where art, teaching, music, technology, service, and honest conversation become spiritual practice. Not because they make you superior, but because they turn the invisible into form. Love wants embodiment. A song, a sentence, a business, a garden, a video, a hand placed gently on someone's shoulder. When love becomes expression, the world becomes less like a stage for proving yourself and more like an altar for participation. The sixth density is the density of wisdom, balance, and integration. Love matures into clarity. Compassion learns structure. The heart and the mind stop arguing about which one is holy. Here, awareness begins to see patterns without becoming trapped in them. It recognizes that every polarity contains a lesson. Light and shadow, giving and receiving, silence and action, human and divine, form and emptiness. This is not cold intelligence, it is warm discernment. The ability to love without losing yourself, to serve without disappearing, to understand without needing to control. And then the seventh density points toward unity. Not unity as an idea the mind can own. Not unity as a statement you repeat while still secretly ranking everyone. Unity as the quiet vanishing of the distance between seeker, path, and home. At this level, the map begins to dissolve, because the one who wanted to arrive is seen as another movement inside the whole. The breath is the teaching. The ordinary moment is the doorway. The universe is not somewhere outside awareness waiting to be conquered. It is appearing as this, as sound, as silence, as your hands, as the room, as the mystery that has never once been absent. The seventh density does not make you less human. It returns humanity to the vastness it came from. So where are you on the map? Maybe the gentlest answer is here. Because every density is not only a future stage, each one appears inside daily life. When you care for your body, the first density is being honored. When you reach for belonging, the second density is alive. When you make a conscious choice instead of obeying an old pattern, the third density is awakening. When you meet another being with compassion, the fourth density opens. When you express truth through your voice, art, work, or presence, the fifth density moves. When love becomes balanced by wisdom, the sixth density begins to shine. And when, even for one breath, the distance between you and life becomes soft, the seventh density is not far away. It is already whispering through the moment. The seven densities are not a staircase for the ego. They are a reminder that awareness has been becoming itself through every layer of existence. Nothing in you has to be rejected to return home. The body is included. The emotions are included. The self is included. The longing is included. Even the confusion is included. The path is not somewhere else. The map is opening inside the one who reads it. And perhaps returning home does not mean reaching the final density as a prize. Perhaps it means recognizing that the home you seek has been quietly holding every density from the beginning. If this reflection met you in the right place, stay with 7 density. We are exploring ancient wisdom, consciousness, and the mystery of reality in a grounded human way. And until next time, remember, you are not separate from the path. You are the awareness in which the path appears.